Good morning, everyone. I want to talk about Nicki Minaj. This is the second day that Nicki Minaj's brother Jelani Mirage was found guilty for child rape, and Nicki Minaj has turned off the comment section in on her Instagram, and I don't blame her either. But do I think her brand can withstand this type of crisis? I don't think so. Because there's a term called guilty by association. Guilty by association is when you are not guilty, but you're guilty by your association, your company, your family, your friends, anybody that you hang around with, that you come in contact with, you're guilty by being around them. And Nicki Minaj right now, her label's stopping her projects, and she has not dropped the album. And I believe that the label is doing this because I think they knew that her brother was going to get this charge. And I think that they are pulling out all the stops, and her label is probably going to drop her. And this is the reason why I think that Cardi B got her fame, because they grabbed Cardi B up because they know that they're going to have to disconnect themselves from Nicki Minaj because of her guilty by association. This is how business works. Everybody on YouTube is giving their own little opinion, but from a business standpoint, a person that's studying business, you can see it. Like with Kevin Spacey, the House of Cards, the producers cut him out. They are getting rid of anything with Kevin Spacey's face on it. Charlie Sheen, another one. Harvey Weinstein. All of these brands are going in the trash, and Hollywood is going to be renewed because these brands cannot stand this type of crisis. You mutilating women and children, and your brand cannot stand on that, because people who have been through this is not going to allow it. And if people who, like I said, have been through this type of crisis, every time they see your face, they're going to cringe. Okay? Every time people see your face, they're going to cringe. I like Nicki Minaj, but when she first came out, it was just something with her that me and her just didn't click. I don't know what it was. And I think it was this right here. The fact that she has a brother that engaged in this type of stuff, and then they're from another country. See, when you have another culture in another country and their laws, excuse me, in Trinidad, having sex with young children and stuff like that, that's not really prosecuted at high amounts over there. Like someone was saying that, there's a high percentage of incest over there where the fathers are passing around their daughters and things like that. And, that's questionable. So, that's her culture too. When you come from a country and that type of statistic is high, that's kind of like you're associated with the culture. This is what I'm saying, guilty by association. And then she comes to the Grammy with a Catholic cardinal suit on. Oh my God. This was I don't know who her publicist was, but if I was her publicist, I would have smacked her. Because I'd have been like, Nicki, do you know that the Catholic Church is associated with pedophilia? Get that off, girl, and go dress up as somebody else. Okay, please don't ruin yourself. She ruined herself when she came to the Grammys like that. Now, you got your brother has now been convicted of this stuff. You come from a culture where there's high amounts of this stuff. I mean, after a while, people are going to start looking at her like, yeah, you're guilty by association. You got too much evidence. And then you have where her brother is saying that he's going to appeal the case. Do you know how hard it is to appeal a case where 12 jurors convict you? It's very hard, because even if it goes all the way up to the Supreme Court, they're going to support it because the 12 jurors, which is called groupthink, a jury of people, 12, they're under the Sovereignty Immunity Act. which means their verdicts are immune from being overturned. Know the law, people. Know the law. A jury of 12 people, that's a sovereignty in its own self. And then when a jury comes in, they have a 95% chance of finding evidence. And all they look at is evidence. His semen and a scientist, he was already up shit creek without a paddle. Okay? When they start bringing forensics and science into this, you are done. And then he rejected the plea deal. Why would you do that if you know a scientist is on the scene? You should have took the plea deal and your ass should have just sat there. Because you don't, when it comes to the criminal justice system and you got scientists and they got evidence and they got hard evidence, when they take that evidence into a 12 juror setting, all they're looking at is evidence. They're not looking at character and all of that. They're looking at evidence. Is it a yes or a no? And the seaman gave it a yes. And then the fact that Jelani Mirage is saying that his defense on this child was saying that this little girl was already having sex. Okay, why are y'all allowing 11-year-old, 10-year-old having sex? And then when you say that, that opens the door to who was she having sex with? And if you can't name little boys or young men that she's been having sex with, then she was having sex with her father. Okay? It's just, it is what it is. And then people are making all these excuses for Nicki Minaj because they are vivid fans. But let me tell you, people, you can be a fan of her and you can also be a fan of people supporting the wrong shit. And the fact that Nicki Minaj reputation is stained, because now when you go into the internet and you type in Nicki Minaj, there's a picture with Jelani Mirage right beside her. She's hugging him. Guilty by association. Okay, people? Understand this. Kevin Spacey, look at him. Look at all of the people who are taking their money, who's invested in Kevin Spacey. They're taking it out of his pockets because they don't want to lose their brands messing with a child molester. Okay? Look at this and see it for what it is. Everybody who supported people who have done stuff like this, they lose everything because of this. So this is a hot potato. Nicki Minaj is a hot potato. If she leaves the label with Birdman, no one's going to really want to pick her up because nobody's really wanted to touch her now because of these allegations. So she's going to lose a lot of money. And then if the family turns around and sue the family, she going to have to pay. She's already paying anyway because Jelani Mirage, most of his legal stuff is coming from her pockets. And then Remy, when Remy came out, gave her more press on this situation, saying you're supporting a pedophile. You right next to Ken. Yep, pretty much. When you type in the internet, Nicki Minaj, Jelani Mirage comes right on up, okay? So Nicki Minaj is guilty by association. I wish this didn't happen, but I wish she would have been a little more conscious of her culture, where she come from. She would have been on her brother, because if that was me, I'd have been on my brother's ass. I'd have been like, hold on, who you marrying? Let me get an investigator on this woman. If you're saying that she's trying to extort money out of me and all of this stuff like that, let me get an investigator on this person before you marry her, because this is my brand here. I'd have been on ass. I'd have been like the police up in there. I'd have been on everybody's background. Where she come from? Is her children into something? And if her child is fast like that, I would have been ready to tell you, leave her alone, because her child is already having sex and they're going to implicate you anyway. So let's go ahead on, and you don't need to marry her. So, this is just the fact that people weren't paying attention, the fact that Nicki was being too naive with her brother and her family, and the fact that she should have been more aware of these things. So, I believe this is why Cardi B is in the spot, taking her spot, because they're getting ready to sweep Nicki Minaj out to the trash, because nobody is going to want to be associated with her. So, Like, subscribe, tell me what you think. This is a very serious situation. And I hate to see her going through this, but when you look at Jelani and you look at her face, they look just alike. This is her brother. So the fact that Safari came out and said that she's smoking and all of that, this girl is going through a crisis. So, of course, you're going to see her smoking and drinking heavily. When you look on the internet, who do you see right next to a child molester? Nicki Minaj. When you turn on the Sheetha disc, what does Remy say? Who is supporting a pedophile? Nicki Minaj. Okay, people, please. Please, if you would do some research in business, this is why everybody is getting away from Kevin Spacey. This is why everybody is getting away from Charlie Sheen and Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby. Look at Bill Cosby's brand. Toe up. Bill Cosby is tarnished right now. Tarnished. I hope he even has enough money for retirement because the man is old. Look at OJ. Tarnished. Understand, this is a chain reaction. This is what happens when someone close to you get convicted like this. Tarnished. Okay? People, understand this. See a pattern. When you see a pattern of things happening, this is what's going to happen to her. And it's sad. And if you're a Nicki Minaj fan, just understand, hey, this is what happens. Continue to support her if you want, but don't expect for everybody else to jump on the bandwagon. Why? Because she's guilty by association. Salome B. Have a nice day.